Today, episode number 9 already of crafting metaphors for handmade transformation. I cannot wait to share this one because this one is really concrete, I would say. We're going to be referring to a certain technique, handmade technique. If you don't know what I'm talking about here and what the hell does this handmade transformation mean, go back to episodes 1 and 2 and 3. I explained the whole concept, but in short, it's all about taking handmade metaphors that you can find in this crafting world and apply them to your inner growth. So today one's is cross stitch. Do you know this technique? I won't show it. I will explain it. That's a technique that is based on doing the embroidery, which is usually used with this kind of little, needle and some yarn, basically in that size, more or less. And by doing little cross stitches, you create magnificent, epic types of works. And the whole concept is based on the fact that by applying loads and loads of colorful little stitches, you create the whole picture. Imagine those pictures that you used with paint, and in order to paint them or use the printer, there needed to be a lot of dots in various colors, and the combination of those dots created the whole picture. More or less the same with cross stitch. Sometimes when you go closer to some huge billboards and you approach them really close, you can actually see that the picture is created of, various dots of various colors, and when you look at it from a perspective, then you see the whole picture. Yeah, I'm gonna add some pictures as well. But this video is aimed at being the format that is applicable to podcasts. So for me, that's also a personal challenge to explain the technique, not only to show it to you. So the technique is based on many, many, many stitches put together in a certain material. It's called canvas. And this way you create the whole picture. So in order to create the whole picture, you need lots and lots of similar movements. It's a matter of micro movements, micro steps, and it takes a lot of patience in order to complete the work. You can take pauses right in the middle, but then in order to create it, you need to resume the work. But it's easy to pause because each stitch takes you like more or less a couple of seconds. But the whole work, it's hours. It can take even weeks. So there is this idea that I want to seed in your mind when you think of this technique and how you can apply that to your life, even if you're not that crafty. Well, the concept of repeated movements, of the art of being patient enough to repeat a thing that seems to be basic, seems to be easy, seems to be not really spectacular, but that's in order to create a spectacular work. So in order to create a huge spectacular canvas that presents a magnificent pictures, you basically what you need to do is creating simple movements that could be done even by a child, but doing it with such a diligence and with such a patience that this beautiful work of art can manifest itself. And what kind of metaphor or learning is there for us? Oftentimes, especially in business, I see that in myself, but I also see that a lot in my mastermind buddies, my friends, my clients, my even friends kids, like my partner, that we underestimate the power of simple things, simple movements, but those that are put together as a powerful habit. In order to create such a work, we need to repeat the same movement. It would be like a daunting experience. Like, what can we learn? Like, we're doing the same thing all over again. Like, maybe we're changing the color of a thread, but basically we're doing the stitches. Like, it's always the same. It's so basic, so easy. That's why this technique is really kids friendly. But in order to create an epic work, we need to have that patience. We need to repeat those stitches. And the secret lies in the fact that all of those stitches need to be perfectly the same. It's not a matter of one made loose and the other one more stiff and another one like maybe with a like little bit of thread not really sticking as it should. The secret lies in repeating the same thing and mastering the cross stitching in order to create the whole thing. Do I catch you at this point where sometimes it becomes boring when you know what to do? Like it becomes boring when you get up and do the, yoga pose every day the same, and then, do your breakfast and then take kids to school. Like every day is the same and it becomes so boring. But what if we thought of it as this cross stitch masterpiece that we're creating? What if our routine could be taken into totally different level by repeating the same movements, the same actions, the same even thoughts? We could master those. What if doing the same yoga pose every day was all about mastering it, being really fluent, light, easy, and breathing like perfectly there? Wouldn't that be light? Wouldn't that be mastering one thing? What if doing the same breakfast, or I don't know, the porridge every day? Like what if you mastered doing that? Like you have this really ease of finding all the pots and plants at perfect place, and thus while cooking you can focus on having a meaningful conversation with your kid over the fucking porridge. Like it doesn't need to be boring. It could become a habit that you can actually invite yourself to be so unfocused on this very action that you can actually focus on something that you can add to this action, and this way master the action itself. What if you thought of, I don't know, gestures or meetings with your friends? What if each hug, something as easy as cross stitch, could be taken into totally different new level? Once you do that every time, you focus on a fact to make it even better, even more heartwarming, even more centered, and you being there, like giving a hug with a whole heart, like being there, thinking about the person you hug, giving it all you've got with an intention. Just like with a cross stitch, imagine doing one thing while scrolling. It's impossible to do the cross stitch while scrolling. You need your hands, right? What if next time you've been thinking about anything you do, anything that becomes habitual to you, as if you've been creating this masterpiece, which is a cross stitch work? What if your added value that you don't see on daily basis but adds up like every day after day, cross stitch after cross stitch, can bring you to an epic result? And I promise it will be light, you won't get tired, but all you need is patience and this willingness to be present in that thing, to use that as an opportunity to try yourself in creating yet another and another and another one, but better and better and better. And it's not about the perfect stitch, it's about putting one on top of the other, one next to the other. It's all about this compound value that you get from simple things repeated with an intention, with this bigger vision behind it. What if your breakfast could become epic breakfast? And they don't lead you to, I don't know, mastery of porridge. The whole process becomes the pretext of mastering the time of making the porridge, the circumstances that are surrounding this porridge making, the conversation that could be made over that porridge. What if that's going to be just introduction to finding new tastes, like maybe experimenting with the recipe? What if at the end of that is this epic memory of breakfast with your kids, watching them grow, having this picture in your head over porridge? That changes the way we think of it, right? So next time, you're going to be thinking about some unimportant easy tasks that you do on daily basis that became a chore, became something that you just go through on autopilot because you just do that like every day, like, and it's so easy and lines that you don't even want to put mind to it. Think of those actions as if that was cross stitch, as if that was one more stitch that you add to a huge masterpiece. That's really worth to take this perspective, because even every single easy movement you do, while repeated, while made a habit, create this bigger picture. Because we're all created by our habits. And sometimes you can catch yourself that one unimportant thing that you do every day can be turned into something that adds up day by day by day into creating a beautiful picture that is as epic as cross stitch pictures. Hope that you enjoyed this metaphor. I'm gonna add up some pictures of cross stitch in case you don't know this technique. But if you do, please leave your comment and give me your thoughts, whether maybe you're hiding inside of your heart any other handmade commentaries, handmade metaphors that lead you through the day, through the week, through the month. I'm here to gather those, and I warmly invite you to another episode. The ninth is already done. And if you haven't watched the previous one, there are only 8 ahead of this one, and I explained the concept and the idea behind those. I hope we're going to meet in the 10th episode. Hopefully, not the last one, but last for at least a bit of time. See you in the next episode of Blah Blah, crafting metaphors for inner handmade transformation.